Hi, hello, and welcome to a different type of video. This video is probably gonna be my biggest video yet that I've done so far. So I was sitting around one day, minding my own business, when I thought, you know what would make an amazing video? Is a tier list video. Okay bro, but literally everyone and their grandma has done a tier list video before in Garden Warfare 2. Hold on just a minute. What tier list have people not really been doing? Is a tier list for the worst characters in Garden Warfare 2. So I've took it upon myself to play all of the supposedly worst characters in Garden Warfare 2 and rate them on how good that I think they are. And before we get started, if you would like and subscribe on this video, that would be greatly appreciated. Because this video took so long playing all the shitty characters. And making a script for this is not easy for me because I hate making scripts. It sucks so much. Please like and subscribe. And I've also invited some YouTubers to give their takes on some of these characters. Now, I know that Swedish Dwarf has done something like this in the past for his tier list videos, and I'm not copying him. I just think it would be nice to have some YouTubers to also give their side of the story for some of these characters. But I will put his video in the description below. I recommend it. It is a very good video. And please don't break down my door and sue me, Swedish Dwarf. I'm sorry, please. Alright, so this first character that we're going to check out is the man, the myth, the legend, Captain Squawk. So although I like to meme on Captain Squawk a lot, he is actually a pretty solid character. With the right person, he can get the job done very well. So people really like to underestimate this character, but with his headshot damage and even his body shot damage being pretty good. Not to mention the very annoying toxic damage, but sweep that one under the rug. And then there's this thing. It's his secondary weapon, which is basically toxic chomper that can't swallow people and also does pretty below average damage. With that though, my guy only gets one shot in his clip, and he's not even the fastest at recharging his shot. But it is a pirate, so you already know he's got that cannon ready to splash the hell out of you, and that barrel ready to kill you in the turf takeover end screen. Captain Squawk is really good in the hands of people that can actually aim. Oh, so you mean like yourself? Yeah, totally myself, yeah. So with that said, I think he deserves to go straight up into C tier for me. This is really the only tier that I can put him in, and that toxic character actually segues perfectly into the next character. So without further ado,
what smells? Can't quite put my finger on what it is, but mate, it is fucking kicking up. Smells like shit.
So this was actually my first time properly playing Toxic Chomper, and I can safely say that he is not good. Now, y'all know that I don't really like chompers to begin with, so that already makes me sound a bit biased, a bit hypocritical, but I really do not like this character. So Toxic Chomper has one attack, which is his spray attack, if you don't count Borrow. And his spray attack only does 8 damage, and you already have to be right up and personal with the enemy anyways, and his overheating happens so quickly, and it lasts like 3.1 seconds, which is a lot. And because of his spray, it takes him time to build up damage to an enemy. So the second you get to an enemy, you're probably either gonna get ZPG'd to the face hole or get tackled to the fucking ground. His only real hope is Burrow, and you know, even that's pretty easy to counter anyway. One thing that I will give him props for is how easy it is to actually kill imps and scientists, because imps are super easy to hit anyways with toxic chompers. Plus imps have, you know, incredibly low ass health, and scientists just don't really have much to counter against chompers anyways. But that's as much praise as I would give toxic chomper, and he is going straight into the D tier. Only reason why I'm not putting him lower is the fact that he can at least kill some characters, but in my time of playing him, he sucks. So Citron has always kind of had a history of either being one of the best characters or literally bottom of the fucking barrel. This is just my opinion, but I don't know what the hell people are smoking when they put this guy at the bottom, because from what I can see, this guy is pretty good to say the least. You telling me I can one tap an imp fully charged? Yes, please. Not to mention this guy is like 200 health because he's a citron. Now, I understand that having to charge up your shots pushes people away a bit, but I mean, come on. But don't just take my word from it. Here is the homie Spret to also give his opinion on this character.
For some reason, most of the community thinks Citron is bad. I think that is bullshit. Do not listen to that Wolfie Plays guy. This beast has 200 health, can do up to 90 damage, and has a literal get out of any situation button in his ball form. I feel like the only reason people don't like him is because they are physically incapable of putting any effort into the playstyle. For example, you don't rush into the point and turf takeover just to get one kill then die. That will be frustrating and you will have a bad time with the character. You don't have to be up close and personal either, and you can still ruin people's day with your fully charged shot even at mid-range. Citron is also one of the charge characters that have normal mobility while charging. Similarly to PlasmaP, Citron can jump and move at the same speed as he normally does while charging. I'm not saying this is the best character in the game, trust me, there are definitely better ones, but compared to other Citrons, this one is just the best one among them. And if you dare tell me that he isn't good while you spam your one charge like a caveman, I will reach through the screen and lobotomize you. Use his second charge. It does like 50 damage and takes no time to charge up. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my definitely friendly rant about why I adore Citron. Good luck with your video, Nick.
Well, thanks for that, Spret. I definitely agree that Citron is one of the best Citrons out there, actually. So, with that said, I honestly think that this guy deserves to go into the A tier.
Hey, just wondering if you got your photos printed?
Logos minted?
What?
Alien Flower. She's a weird one. So, Alien Flower actually has a pretty straightforward gimmick. You shoot, mist appears, extra damage. All things considered, she's not actually at all a bad character. I have no clue why people like putting her in F tier so much. First of all, she does like 10 to 14 damage on impact and like 15 to 18 crit damage, depending on your range. On top of that, she has a cloud of spore mist that does like 4 damage. So basically like Park Ranger. It sounds pretty good on paper, but her fire rate is so slow. This bitch takes a millennium and a half to shoot her shots. It is so crazy. So weakness to this character is basically like any bulky character. That's all I really have to say for this character. She's not awful. She's definitely not the best character. I think that she belongs in the C tier, above Captain Squawk. Okay, so this is another one of those characters that I have no clue what people are on when they're rating her. So, Metal Petal has 50 ammo with a 2-second reload time. And she does about 6 to 8 damage and 9 critical damage. But that also depends on the range. So, Metal Petal can hit like oncoming traffic up close. And she also has more health as well. But the main downside to her is that her walking speed is significantly decreased. I'm pretty sure that's the reason why people hate on her so much. It's the same as Rockp. Not only that, but I'm pretty sure that her firing rate is also slightly reduced because I swear that she fires slower than most sunflowers. She's not an awful character at all. So I think that this character is very good up close. She's definitely more good up close. When you start getting to medium and far range, then she becomes a little bit lackluster. Overall, I really think that she's outclassed by like most other sunflowers except for Alien Flower. So I think that she's gonna go into B tier because she's pretty solid, just like Metal. That was a very funny joke. God damn, I don't even have this guy to level 2 yet. Alright, so I was already kind of going into this thinking that he was gonna be the worst character in the game to begin with. So I really did not have any high hopes for this character. But he is amazing. 10 out of 10 would play again. No, I'm joking. I can see why people think this guy is the worst character in the game. First of all, Chomp Thing's whole shtick is that he can gain health faster in like a second, basically. And for that to happen, they sacrificed 40 of his HP. Which is very stupid because chompers are supposed to have a lot of health in the first place because, you know, that's their gimmick. And this character just really pissed me off. I mean, the first game that I played, I did so shit. The second game I almost top scored, believe it or not. And the third game I rage quitted because that was absolute beginner's luck. So anyways, I would like to bring on the final boss, the main man himself, Chomp Thing a Hater, Swedish dwarf.
Good day all, it is me, the dwarf of Swedish origins. I was asked to talk garbage about a character in Garden Warfare 2, and of course, if you know me, I love to rag on Chomp Thing. Let's just get the best of the worst aspects of Chomp Thing out of the way. His primary. Chomp Thing is a spray chomper, so he doesn't bite zombies, he kinda burps on them. And out of the 4 spray chompers, his spray is the worst, tied with electric. You need to trigger mash to deal any amount of damage. And don't get me started on the overheat mechanic. I never really see anyone talk about this, but spray chomper can overheat. And since Chomp Thing's damage is so low, you cannot kill all-stars and super brains without overheating. It's bad. It's really bad. But Chomp Thing's main gimmick, besides having the worst spray primary in the game, is that he has 40 less health than the regular Chomper variant, but regenerates his health faster. That's not worth it in the slightest. The health regen on Chomp Thing is nice. It goes from 4 health per second below half to 7, and from 1.75 below half to 3. And his health starts to regenerate after only 1 second. And that sounds great, but reducing your health, which is your most important resource, by 22% is not worth it in the slightest. So you're sacrificing a huge chunk of health just to regenerate from a battle that you just made harder a bit faster. Chomp Thing's gimmick is fundamentally flawed. So to me, he is the worst character in any of the PvZ shooters, and it's not even close. If you want to hear me talk more about Chomp Thing, I made a 12-minute long video essay about this abomination. I also 100% Garden Warfare 2 in under 24 hours, and that's one of my favorite videos I've ever made. Thank you for having me, Nick. Bye.
Alright, so halfway through editing this video, I've kind of realized that there's not actually any F tier characters, so we're not using F tier anymore. I'm just gonna use E tier, which is gonna be like bottom of the barrel, basically. And oh yeah, Chomp Thing, he's going in that tier.
Someone has been in my room and taken my beers away from my room.
AC Perry. Okay, I'm gonna be straight up. He sucks. So, AC Perry is an ice character that honestly doesn't really have much going for him. He does 16 damage on impact and about 7 splash, and no, just because he's an ice character does not mean he's good. Yeah, you can freeze people in place, but overall, he is probably the weakest engineer, slightly below plumber, in my opinion. I think the only real thing that AC Perry can kill is chompers, but you know, every single engineer can counter chompers, so that's not really saying much. And I'm going to pass this off to the homie himself, Big Boy Skonk, for his rundown of this character.
Oh man, AC Perry. Despite me having somewhat of a relationship with him, he's actually not very good. AC Perry is an engineer variant, and he's also an ice character. So after a few shots hit, he freezes the opponent. So you might be thinking, oh, that's actually quite good. It is a fantastic gimmick, but on this character specifically. Yeah, this guy is an Arctic Trooper. AC Perry shoots way too slow. His movement speed is slow. He's big and easy to hit. He does no damage. He has a terrible projectile. Slow and it's weak. He gets countered by like every character in the game except chompers. The reason why this character isn't like one of the worst characters in the game is because he has good abilities, and that is it. And yeah, that's it for me, and AC Perry sucks.
So yeah, I had to think about this character, and I honestly think he's gonna go in like the bottom of C tier, because you know, he still has his bolt blaster, he still has the stun grenade, he still has his jackhammer. The only reason why I'm not putting him lower is because he can at least kind of kill chompers and also kind of freeze plants in place.
I'm only going to say this once. Skibbity Rizzler level 999 GAT. Hello everyone, it's captainflare here today to talk about my favorite character, Armor Chomper. Truly, the best character to ever exist.
Oi! What are you doing here?
I gotta go.
Hey, you get back here.
Skibbity Rizzler level 999 GAT.
Armor Chomper is really good in certain scenarios, I think, but they really enhance the Chomper's gimmick with this one. So, my guy has 215 health and does 45 damage per bite, which sounds pretty good. I mean, that is some hefty ass damage. But the downside to this character, because there always has to be a downside, is that his walk is significantly slower and also bites slightly slower than regular chompers. So, sort of like metal petal. So I really think that this guy can do pretty good if you have the right mindset, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So like, instead of pushing the characters, and dying all the time. Instead, you should just kind of, you know, wait for them to come to you. So, of course, imps and scientists are pretty easy to kill with Armor Chomper. I really think that this character belongs in the bottom of C tier. So, I really think that you should...
Whoa, hey, you should play Armor Chomper, actually. He's really fun, I swear.
I will steal your soul. I swear.
I'm not gonna give you my soul. That's silly. Wait, what's going on? Something's happening to me. Wait, no, my soul! Ah!
I want to bang solar flare so goddamn bad, I can't stand it anymore.
Okay, so I know this is gonna piss a lot of people off, but I honestly think that Rockbee is pretty underrated, but a frustrating character to play against. I think that every Rockbee player I see just kind of spams their Gatling. I honestly think that Rockbee is a decent character to play, if you know how to play him. So Rockbee does about 22 to 32 damage and about 10 splash damage. So the splash is a little bit lackluster. The only real downside to this character is that his walking speed is slowed down and also shoots slightly slower. So like a lot of the metal characters, I promise you that if you spam your Gatling, you're not gonna have fun or do any good. You're just gonna piss people off. So I think if you hit your shots, he can be a pretty decent character in my opinion. B tier. Cosmic Brainz. I really used to dislike this character back in the day, but now I think that this character is really good. Now, Cosmic is probably one of the most underrated SBs and one of the best SBs in the game, actually. So, first of all, Cosmic Brainz has 200 health because, you know, he's an SB. And Cosmic's first punch does 20 damage, which is, like, nothing. His second punch does 45 damage, and the charge up time is 0.4 seconds. So it's less than a second to charge up his second punch, and it does 45 damage. Can you just imagine that? And his third charge does 70 damage. And that's without damage upgrade. Not to mention, it's very satisfying as hell to send people to the Shadow Realm. I would say that Cosmic's one downside is his situation, because against one or two plants, he is very good, but against the whole team, not so much. I kind of figured out, like with the F tier, that there's no S tier quote-unquote bad characters in this list. Only just figured out that now. Don't worry about it. Cosmic's going in A tier.
Boogie your brains right over here.
Disco Chomper. I really don't have much to say about this character. He's really trash. He's probably the worst legendary character in the game, in my opinion. Disco Chomper does about 30 damage per bite, which, you know, is not really that bad. But what makes this guy so painful to play is his meter. So his legendary meter only fills up once you swallow someone. And it's kind of bad. That's all I really have to say about Disco Chomper. I would like to bring on my homie, the Bob-omb himself, TylazerMK, also known as Tylazer.
This is the abomination. Disco Chomper. I hate him. He sucks. I hate him so much. Look at this. Look at this. Do you see any zombies? Do you see any zombies over there? Look at my disco fever. Oh god, and there's zombies that I couldn't even freaking see. Oh, look at this clip where I get pushed by a chili beam bomb. That's kind of cool. But look at this. Look at how hard I tried.
So, this is the complete wrong clip.
I'm sure that this might be disappointing for some to hear from me, but I actually think this character, like, sucks. They're a meme, they're kind of funny, but they suck. And everyone's heard about the fact that, you know, Disco Fever is way too hard to get, and yada yada. You need to burrow or swallow people 4 times, and that's like way too much. Should be 3 tops or something, or just have a completely different gimmick. But everyone knows that. So instead, let's look at the stats, which every person cares about. I was actually surprised to find out that without upgrades, Disco Chomper does a slightly higher DPS. This is negligible, but it is higher DPS. Of course, the rate of fire makes it to where sometimes the time to kill will actually be longer instead of shorter, but sometimes it'll be faster. Because numbers. But what you fail to consider by having it just go this way is upgrades. For some reason, this actually makes the numbers even more negligible when you give both of them a damage upgrade. But here's a fun little fact. Chomper has 2 damage upgrades, whereas Disco Chomper has this. So what happens when you put that there? Oh, that's actually a significant difference in DPS from the two, where this guy's upside requires that I do something that almost never happens.
Thank you for that, Tylaser. Appreciate that. I think I'm feeling a solid D on this character. Don't take that out of context. Power Chomper. Not gonna lie, this guy is my favorite chomper so far. Power Chomper is a spray chomper with a spray of 10 damage with a 75 DPS, which is really good. I honestly think that he is one of, if not the best spray chomper out there. I really don't know why a spray chomper like Chomp thing does 7 damage, but no, Power Chomper is allowed to do 10 damage, 11 with the damage upgrade. But anyways, I am feeling a strong B on this character.
Hey, you guys feel like playing some baseball? Excuse me, I'm gonna go masturbate.
Baseball Star is pretty bad compared to all the other all-stars. If you look at him as just a character, he's actually pretty mid. Now again, I don't really play all-stars that much. I need Reg all-star. He's the only one that I've actually mastered, and he's a pretty based character. So Baseball Star does 3 to 6 damage and does 7 headshot damage up close. So he's not the best mid or far range. You can only really use him close range. And I'm not the only one who actually feels this way about Baseball Star. I would like to bring on my buddy Deggy for what he thinks about this character.
Baseball Star is one of those characters that you don't really see people play nor talk about because he is quite forgettable. This guy's main gimmick that PopCap doesn't actually tell you in the description is that he overheats faster, but he also has the fastest cooldown out of any all-star. This would have been a cool trade-off if they hadn't buffed Hockey Star's cooldown to be about the same duration as Baseball's. But you'll want to use this guy at close range to mid-range, as this guy has really good close range damage potential, actually surpassing all-star's damage potential, which is probably one of the best all-stars for overall damage. However, when getting to the far range, you're rarely ever going to hit your shots. You do about 3 damage, which is basically nothing, and also you're going to have to trail your shots because the bullet speed is really slow. In the right hands and circumstances, Baseball Star can actually be quite a challenging threat, especially at close range. However, as soon as you get to the far range, you're going to end up losing a lot of your damage. I'm going to have to trail your shots, which there are other all-stars that can do that job a lot better, like golf and hockey. I think with all these considerations, I think it just proves that Baseball Star was made for close range, and that's my final conclusion. I actually don't think he's a bad character, but when an all-star can already do close range pretty well, Baseball Star doesn't feel like that much of an upgrade, and you lose too much of your long range potential when playing as him, when all-star could probably close the gap a lot better. Anyways, that concludes my take on the Baseball Star, and I would like to thank Nick for bringing me on, and enjoy the rest of the video. Subscribe to Nick, by the way.
Right, thanks for that, Deggy. For the most part, I'm with you on this one. But you know, Baseball Star is still an all-star. He's still got very good DPS. He still has sprint tackle. He still has impulse or long bomb, whichever you prefer. So with all that said, I think he is going into the middle of C tier. Sound like Anthony Fantano in this bitch. So I'm sick. Anyways, next up we have the worst but funnest SB to play, Brecky Brainz. I love Breakfast Brainz 2 bits, but he's really bad. His whole shtick is that he patty cakes you to death. It's kind of hilarious. He's not really the worst character in the game as some people make it out to be, but he is definitely far from the best. I think Breakfast Brainz is fine against one character, but it's basically a death sentence to go against chompers with him. I think the thing holding back Breakfast Brainz is that it takes a little bit long for him to fully charge his shot, and also the fact that he can't punch in midair, which is pretty shit. He is going at the top of D tier because he is a very fun and funny character to play. Okay, so all of that shit that I said about Chomp thing, just throw it out of the window. This is the worst Chomper. No, I'm just playing. He's almost on par with Chomp thing. So Yeti Chomp is a lobbing character that fires projectiles and freezes the enemy. Yeti Chomp is basically AC parry, but a literal step below him. So Yeti does about 25 impact damage and about 10 splash damage, and it's all good and well that he can freeze zombies, but his firing rate is very shit. It's worse than AC parry by far. Now, I'm putting this guy in the E tier above Chomp Thing. The only reason why I'm not putting him below Chomp Thing is because he can at least free zombies. But for Chomper, it's still very bad. So that's the reason why I'm not putting him in D tier.
Oh, hot, 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 hot.
Now, we have one of the most controversial plants in the game. Barbecue corn. I'm gonna keep this short. He's one of the most annoying characters to play and to fight against in the game. I think that he is just very average and outclassed by all of the other corns, but this guy's the master of assists. The reason why I think he's so annoying is because, while he's a fire character, his damage output is also very shit. Now, you know who really hates this character? My buddy Saedris.
Barbecue corn is trash. Most of the time I see a barbecue corn, they just sit in the back and spray their primary, not to get kills, not cause they're good at the game. No, they do it to get the assist boost with fucking 40 assists. I'm telling you, if you want to get assist master, play this character.
You're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you, because years ago, I crafted my masterwork, my perfect piece. Corn.
Thank you for that, Saedris. For the most part, I agree with you. So he's still got his 2 maximum effort instant win buttons. But in the context that we're in, I'm probably still gonna have to put this guy at the top of C tier because he is still corn. I'm not gonna lie, but Fire Chomper is pretty decent. He's probably one of the better chompers out there, actually. Slightly below Power Chomper. So Fire Chomper does about 8 damage and about 4 fire damage because, you know, he's a fire character. But like most chompers, he shines the most facing imps and scientists. The only real problem that I actually have with spray chompers is that you have to mash the absolute shit out of your mouse to get any result. But he is definitely on par somewhat with power chompers. So with that said, I think that fire chomper is going to go in the B tier, just below power chomper.
Genuinely want to kill myself. I'm gonna be a suicide chomper here. End my life, you delicious bastard.
Rig Chomper is honestly just very average. There isn't a lot to say about him, or her, depending on who's asking. So Rig Chomper does 25 damage. That's it. Nothing fancy. Wait, but he goops people as well. Oh yeah. No, wait, every Chomper does. I think the only thing that he's good for is literally being able to bite faster. And that's about as much praise as I can give it. So he is going at the top of D tier.
That is some of the most disgusting shit I've ever put in my mouth. That is just...
Okay, last character on this list. You know him. You hate him. Give it up for Toxic Citron. He is very bad, in my opinion.
You suck!
He's literally one of the worst characters in the game. So Toxic Citron does a whole 2 damage at far range and does close to 7 damage at close range, which, you know, isn't that bad, but you have to remember that he isn't like all the other Citrons. He is automatic with very shit DPS. Okay, that's enough out of me. Here is Limestone to do the thing.
Hello everyone, and today I'm going to be talking about Toxic Citron, and why he may not be the worst character in the game, but certainly the worst Citron. So let's start out with what Toxic Citron does. He is a toxic character, of course, meaning he has a toxic aura and does toxic damage. For his primary, he has an ammo system, instead of having an overheat system like Rig Citron, having a total of 20 ammo. Similarly, to Park Ranger and Alien Flower, he leaves behind a small damaging cloud that applies toxic damage. His base damage is 7 and his crit damage 8. With all of this combined, you might think he's a pretty solid character. However, he is far from that. First of all, his rate of fire is about half of Rig Citron's, meaning he shoots slower, not to mention he only hits 8 on crits, while Rig Citron hits 10 on crits, not including damage upgrade. So with that in mind, you may think the reason he has these downsides is because of his cloud gimmick, except his cloud only does 2 damage. You know what else does 2 damage on hit? Regular Citron Splash. Overall, this character is a complete downgrade and the worst Citron among all the other Citrons, with one of the lowest DPSs in the Citron class. And also a little fun fact, when he's in ball form, he doesn't even apply toxic damage. Anyways, I've probably taken up too much time out of my segment, so enjoy the rest of the video.
So, with all of that said, I still really think that this guy is extremely shit. So, I think that he's going to be in the top of E tier. Okay, so this is just like my final thoughts looking at this tier list as a whole to just see if there's anything that I would change. Disco Chomper, he's getting bumped up to the top of D tier for me because literally a better reg chomper, like there's no doubt about that. And then Baseball Star, I'm gonna put a tier above Captain Squawk, I think. So this is the final result. So this is just a small little outro, and I would like to thank you guys for watching until the end of this video. Those of you who have, well done. And I would also like to thank the YouTubers who participated in this. Their YouTube channels will be linked in the description below. Like I said in my intro, this is my biggest project that I've ever worked on. So there's definitely going to be more of these in the future sometime. So yeah, that's all from my side. Peace.